All right, great. So today we have Travis Clemens with us here today, representing TRC and Dominion Energy. And Travis, I'll let you talk a little bit about how you work. I'm guessing TRC is a third-party administrator that's working on behalf of Dominion. So I'll let you tell us, maybe just first tell us a little bit about yourself and your background personally.
Sure, absolutely, Scott. Appreciate you having me here today. Yeah, my name's Travis. I work as an energy advisor outreach specialist with TRC. We are a program implementer or program manager service for Dominion Energy Utility here in Virginia. So we're managing a few different programs for them. We'll get into that in a few minutes. But as for myself, came from insurance, did program implementation, a couple companies, moved into insurance sales. Wasn't as passionate about insurance as I thought I was going to be when I first got started right out of college. Found the energy industry, have absolutely fallen in love with it. Deep roots here in the Charlottesville area in Virginia. Made my network, really got to talk to some awesome, passionate people here in the area. Learned that something I wanted to pursue, found TRC and have stuck around ever since. That was about a year ago and planning on continuing with them and continuing to push sustainability efforts here in the Commonwealth. And really looking forward to breaking this program down for you guys.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I come from a background. I started in the military. I was in the Navy. I always thought I wanted to be a physical therapist. And unfortunately, like some people, I played around a little bit too much in college. And so in order to be able to get into PT school, you had to have stellar grades and a perfect record. And I blew that in the first year of college. So I decided I would go into the military. I wanted to go into the medical field. I wasn't exactly sure where I'd fit. And I actually got into the medical field there, working as a corpsman, but I did more managerial stuff related to the healthcare field. And when I got out of the military, finalized my degree and started working in the hospital and physical rehab hospitals, surgery centers, and that type of thing for nearly 20 years before I found the energy field and energy efficiency field. So I talked to a lot of people, and I'm 57 years old now. So, you know, when I was growing up at the beginning of my professional career, energy efficiency wasn't even a something that people talked about. So it's not something that coming out of college I could jump straight into. I'm not, you look like you're a little younger than I am. So it probably was something as you grew up that people were already talking about it. There were professional opportunities out there. Did you ever think as you're going through college and starting your professional career that you'd ever end up here?
Yeah, it was really cool. I kind of took a non-conventional route like yourself into the industry. Started at engineering school, kind of the same thing there. Found out wasn't as passionate about it. Moved over to business, really excelled there. But yeah, it was definitely something that stayed on my radar. It's kind of just come with the age. In our generations is something sustainability. It's in every conversation when it comes about corporate stuff, commercial entities, anything like that. There's always goals in place for the most part. Back in engineering school, we did a few wind farm projects. We actually developed some of our own designs and stuff like that. It really probably planted the seed in me, and really wanted to get into it, but got down the insurance route. It's kind of hard to make those shifts so early in the career. So really looked to develop myself. But yeah, it's something it's going to explode here, and it already has in the past few years. And really excited to see how it evolves over the course of the next 10 years or so.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about, so TRC, again, maybe just so that the audience has some idea of how this works. I'm guessing TRC has a contract with Dominion in some form to manage different programs for them. Tell us just a little bit about how that works, and then you can kind of lead that into telling us about what program you're involved with Dominion and what types of commercial buildings or even residential in some cases might be applicable for the program.
Sure, absolutely, Scott. So Yeah, TRC, we're an engineering consultancy, very sustainability focused there. Um, Starts with Dominion Energy. They identify some sectors and industries that are using more energy than they would like to see. Maybe they have power generation sites they're looking to have to construct if they don't make some changes. They develop their contracts and they employ TRC. Ultimately, founded my team. So we're a team of 5. We're program management specialists, I guess you could say, different roles. But yeah, we're contracted for 3 different programs with Dominion. So we're only targeting commercial and industrial sectors. 2 of them are targeted industry programs. The third one is very open, open to any industry that's out there, really, that's not already covered by another program. But I can kind of break that down here in a second. So the first 2 that we started with, we have a healthcare program. That's targeting anything that's really healthcare related. It can be as large as a hospital group, all the way down to just a physician's office or a dentist's office or a pharmacy or something like that. So really a wide range. Anything that's going to be related to healthcare, we'll be able to take care of. Full comprehensive list of incentives that are available. Second one, hotel and lodging, pretty much exactly how it sounds. So many large hotel chains across the country. Lights are always on. HVAC is always screaming in all of these rooms. So definitely one of the ones that Dominion wanted to highlight, alongside of those hospitals, these very large facilities that are constantly up and running, constantly catering to their customers and clients and patients that are coming through. So those are the first 2. The first one, what we call custom solutions, it's open to any industry, which is really cool. Could range from, convenience stores to warehouses to, really anything. We got some wide range of prospects and leads that we're working right now that may not be related at all, but they're going to be able to be taken care of, which is really cool. So that one's kind of a catch-all. I've been calling it a kitchen sink program.
Right.
Dominion manages a bunch of different programs, covering all different sectors. This one that we hold basically meant to catch anything that falls through the cracks. If it's not covered somewhere else, you can come to me. We'll take care of you, get the incentives and rebates processed for you, and ultimately get a check out to you. So yeah, that's kind of our 3 programs there.
Yeah. So let's back up for 1 second, just in case some of our viewers really don't even understand what we're kind of talking about here with regard to energy efficiency and what the utilities are doing. So you mentioned a moment ago just about the implications of of why these energy efficiency programs are put in place. And I think that a lot of times when I talk with business owners, as an example, and we're constantly trying to get the word out to them, as I'm sure you are as well. And I explain to them they can get a utility rebate. They're kind of puzzled as to why would the utility company give me an incentive to do this? Don't they make money by selling kilowatt hours to me on a monthly basis? If you don't mind, give me your impression, and obviously with TRC and what you're doing with Dominion, there's a goal and there's a real hard reason why these programs are in place. If you don't mind, just elaborate just for a moment on why the programs are in place, and if efficiency measures are not put in place, what that really costs the utility company in the short and long term.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess it would start with kind of legislation that's passed. Sustainability is obviously in the forefront of a lot of conversations nowadays, especially bills that are being passed through politics, everything like that. Regardless of what side you fall on, there's always going to be a need for sustainability. We live in a world with limited resources, so we got to sustain what we have. So there's different goals that are in place for some of these corporate entities. Dominion Energy, utility countries or companies across the country, they're all going to have goals of some sort coming from the top down. So you are correct. They do sell the energy, and their clients, they do make, a certain amount of money off of that, I'm sure. But, they don't want to build more power generation sites because that makes a huge impact. That's very expensive. I can't even imagine what it costs to, construct a new coal plant or whatever they're looking to, a hydro dam or even a wind farm. Anything like that is going to be super expensive, and they try to avoid having to do that just for public image and to meet their goals. So like I said, they identified sectors that some of the highest consumers, and they're able to offer up some incentive dollars that say, hey, we want you to be more energy efficient. You have the means to do it. You're probably already installing some of this equipment anyway. We have incentives available. And
Right.
like you said, it's one of those things nobody's really aware of. And that's why we're here. We want to get the word out there, partner with folks like yourself, and really just push it across the state.
Yeah. Sometimes I kind of give people the analogy of, let's just say that you had a limited amount of property. You couldn't buy more property and you wanted to build a hotel on there. Your goal is to try to keep that thing as close to 100% full as possible. If you get to a point where you've got 1,000 rooms and you've got 1,200 people that want them all the time, then obviously you don't have enough space to build another one. You just want to make sure that you're trying to keep the people that want to come in, you can keep them in your hotel. In this case, with the utility companies, I think what you're talking about, what you're describing is, if they're required based upon growth of new buildings and population and all that, if they're required to build a new power plant, one, they've got to find space. Two, it's extremely expensive. Three, the amount of time to put that construction plan in place from start to finish is incredible. So obviously what they're trying to do is try to get as much possible capacity out of and as many customers served as they can out of existing facilities. And I'm sure from time to time, whether it's Dominion or Duke or other utility companies that are out there, they're looking at ways that they can produce more power, be more efficient and produce more power with the same resources. But this is also a way on the back end for them to make sure they can serve more customers with the same capacity as well.
There you go. Yeah, I think
so
that's
tell us
right
a little bit about, is there a particular way that with the programs that you're involved with, is there a particular budget on an annual basis? Is that set in stone for a year, 2, 3 years, or is that kind of a year-to-year budget that's put in place for Dominion?
Yeah, so our programs officially kicked off back in October. They're all 3 5-year programs. We're looking to bring on more, so that timeline will get extended out, I'm sure. But yeah, there is a yearly budget for each of the programs, and even if we run out of the budget in the first year, we can pull money forward. So we can front end load it as much as we need to. But yeah, it's roughly about $3 million worth of available incentives per program. So we got a lot of incentives that we're looking to really distribute and get out there and encourage these energy projects. Multi-million dollars that are just kind of laying around, and we're looking to give them away.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What do you think, based on your experience, what do you think the significant barriers are and have been for getting people involved to make sure they take advantage of the money that's available to them?
Yeah, I have a lot of conversations a day with a lot of different folks. I'll say one of the biggest barriers to entry that people have brought to my attention is just the timeline that they presume that it takes to get these incentives processed. Every company, every contractor has a sales cycle that they're very sensitive to. They have to make money just like we all do. So, past programs or different utility incentives that, different management teams might have taken a longer time. I can say that's not going to be the case with my team. We're looking to be very efficient, very effective. We want to work very closely with, everybody involved, their clients, customers, end users, everybody like that. It's move it as efficiently as possible. But I'd say timeline is one of the ones. I've also heard maybe they're not as effective as they could be. Is it worth it? Our programs, we can offset up to 75% of a program's projected cost, which,
wow,
if anybody could discount 75% off of a massive project like that, sign me up.
That's incredible. So are the programs available for, you said they're available for any type of commercial account. Are they available for retrofits, remodels, and new construction?
So our programs are set to manage essentially retrofits and remodels of sorts. Dominion Energy here in Virginia does have a new construction program, which I'm more than happy to refer anybody over to. We're all working on the same front here. So we work closely with those teams and they work closely with us. So our programs are just for retrofits and remodels. Huge list of, everything HVAC to window film, LEDs, anything energy efficient. We have a way that we could incentivize it through our programs.
So what are the more popular pieces of equipment? Obviously, I'm in the lighting and control side of things, and typically the light fixtures that we replace, legacy lighting with, are typically eligible under these type of programs, as well as new control systems that are there for dimming or for occupancy sensors, for timers and that type of stuff as well. HVAC obviously would be something that's covered under the program if you upgrade an HVAC system. What are some of the other popular equipment components that you typically see?
Yeah, I think LED and controls, like you said, are some of the largest. Everybody has light bulbs. So getting those changed out is one of the largest ones. HVAC, heat pumps are starting to really, evolve in the industry and the landscape today. Depending on the usage or the size of facility, may not be a great idea or whatever you're looking at. But solar film is another one that we've talked to a lot of contractors about. It's just a film you put over your exterior windows. It really cuts down on the UV that kind of comes in, heats up your facility, ultimately causing more workload on your HVAC systems and everything like that. So that's another one we've been working really closely with. The compressed air systems is another big one that we've seen some influx from, just making sure that HVAC air is getting spread throughout the facility effectively. But we have a very comprehensive list of contractors, or what we're calling trade allies, that we work with. And, like I said, anything energy efficient wise, we can likely include you and make you eligible for our sectors.
Right. I know when we originally talked with you guys, we were working with one of the programs with Dominion on new construction for a storage facility there in the area. And I guess initially when the programs that you're involved in managing came out, those rebates were only something that could be submitted by a local contractor. And just so I can kind of describe to the audience what happened there, we're based in the Gulf Coast of the U.S. We do a lot of national accounts, and just by virtue of the fact that we've worked over the last decade plus with general contractors and electrical contractors all across the country, we have a nice network that spans from California all the way to the East Coast with people that we deal with on a regular basis. Again, some of them are contractors, but some of them are also operators that may own multi-sites in the restaurant industry or the convenience stores and that type of thing. And they've got stores spread out everywhere. Typically with the national accounts, those national accounts and those brands require that the purchases be made by or through certain suppliers or manufacturers. In this case, I think we originally talked with you about a program or an opportunity that we had. And originally eligibility wasn't there. And obviously you guys went back to Dominion and said, hey, look, we have to figure out a way, because we've got some participants that aren't necessarily local players that are still supplying the same equipment that you're covering in these programs to your customers. We need to figure out a way to give them the ability to be able to submit these utility rebate applications and help your customers as well. Do you see much of that going on? I don't want to put you on a spot, but are we the only ones asking about that, or is that something that you saw maybe pushback from a few other companies that do some of the same things that we do?
Scott, I can assure you, you are not alone. There are plenty of national companies out there that we identified. And like you said, our team went to Dominion and said, hey, some of our major players here that have these projects lined up that you would be interested in, and our team is interested in, that, are just not eligible under our given guidelines. So we looked to expand that. The initial program was, like you said, targeting more of the local contractors. The application was directly created for them. So it would ask for some local licenses that, a company located in California is simply just not going to have. They're operating legally out here in Virginia, but they're just taking a different avenue than our guidelines were allowing for. So we kind of brought that back to them, and they were like, yeah, you're right. So we expanded it. Now we're able to work with rebate processors, distributors, suppliers like yourself. It's a great angle to kind of work to get the word out there. You guys are looking to sell more product. We're looking to encourage more products or projects. So if we can work with you to help some product move off of your shelves, and you kind of send projects our way to incentivize, it's really a win-win for everybody involved. And it's always a fun conversation to have like this with a business owner like yourself, that, it's not very often you see a win-win situation. It's usually biased one direction. You kind of have to, take and give and, play nicely with everybody. But,
right.
Utility incentives are one of the few things out there that I kind of see as a win-win for everybody involved.
Absolutely. One of the things, so just to kind of describe to you what we typically run into, and I'm talking about in a broad sense across the U.S., and keep in mind, I know that you know this, but just for the people that'll be watching, every single utility company runs their programs differently. And in some states, there may be one utility company. In others, there might be 50 providers with different rules and regulations and different programs. And so that in and of itself is a little bit challenging for us. And because it's just something that we've done from the very beginning, we decided that one of the services that we felt like we needed to provide was to make sure that anytime there's a rebate incentive that's available out there for our customers, if we're involved with the project, then we are going to go out there and make sure that we fight for those dollars for them. And other than maybe a couple of occasions, literally out of several thousand projects that we worked on where we actually got paid, that is a free service that we provide, EnergyWise provides to our clients. So if they're asking us to be involved in helping them to design or just supply products for their project, then we'll handle the rebate administration on their behalf, and they get 100% of that money. We don't charge them a fee for that. We don't incorporate a fee into the cost of the products that we sell. We don't charge a sideline fee. We don't get a bonus from the utility company. It's just something that we supply. One of the challenges that we find more times than not, and maybe you could help me with this, is sometimes, as an example, and this happens a lot with our national accounts, sometimes we are getting a project because a contractor has bid on that. We don't know the owner, right? Some cases we know the owner. In some cases we don't. We don't know the owner, but the contractor selected us because we're a supplier of the products they need. We may have won a bid, or maybe we just have a relationship with the contractor and they like doing business with us. That's great. But sometimes we're really challenged with finding the right person and getting to them quickly enough to make sure that we get an application in so they can get their money. And I'm not going to say, I would have to look at my records because I don't think we've seen any of this in your area lately. But I can tell you we go every single week with people completely missing out on getting their utility rebates over and over and over and over again because we cannot get them to respond. And, to a large degree, I kind of blame that on the fact that, one, we all get so much spam every day. Two, we get so many emails now that are phishing and people are worried about security and that type of thing. It really concerns me. Anyway, it's a little bit frustrating for us, and I'm sure probably something that you guys see. What are your thoughts on how we might go about changing the dynamics of that, and how do we avoid that?
Yeah, I think one thing that my team utilizes is we recognize that the phishing threat is out there. So if we're able to take it over the phone or do a virtual meeting or something like that, it's the same thing. Everybody wants to meet with somebody face to face. You get more rapport that way. It's easier to communicate and kind of work through things. So I think that's going to be the next technology and kind of advancement in the world. I think, COVID it kind of brought that about. Work from home and being able to connect with your teams virtually across the country is massive.
Right.
So I think that's going to be a huge proponent of how this industry evolves over the the next 10 years or so. Just being able to connect with folks over video feed and walk through them. hey,
Yeah,
we're real. This is what we have. I'll help you get signed up. Everything we got is right here. So
absolutely.
I think
So it's
that's going to
just
be,
picking up the phone for you. And I think it probably makes it easier for you because you're calling as a third party representative of Dominion
mm,
Energy. They know they're paying their utility bill every month. They're eventually going to take your call. Maybe you have to call them a couple of times to actually get them on the
sure.
phone. For us, it's probably a little bit more challenging because they see us as someone that's really just trying to sell them something. And
Right.
I understand it. I mean, I'm sure I get calls that I probably should take on a day-to-day basis that I just simply don't have time to, or maybe I don't want to be sold to. And so I think for us, some of it is just a matter of how we project the messaging and help them to
Mhm.
understand that this is free. And we send emails out, believe me, that say free in large letters, and this is no spam. And we have, I'm not going to name the national concept that we're the primary supplier of lighting for nationally. It's a pretty nice size one. And even the franchisees for that group sometimes ignore the emails, and they've missed out on meeting a deadline to be able to get a rebate. It's
Yeah.
absolutely crazy to me. And we're not talking about $100 here. We're talking about on these projects that are not huge, but a couple few $1,000s of free money
Yeah.
that you just get a check for. You don't have to do
That's it.
anything except provide some documentation, a couple signatures, and it's done. So anyway, that's my challenge. I'm sure it's yours as well, and something
Yeah.
that perhaps in the area that you work in, we can collaborate to try to get through to more of those people. That would be great.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to working with you guys. Sounds like you have a great network that's, looking for the exact incentives that we have available. So yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a great partnership moving forward, Scott.
Awesome. What do you think about are these utility rebates going to be here in 2, 5, 10 years?
I was thinking about this the other day. Like I said, our programs are for the next 5 years. So I know I'll be here in 5 years. But I would love to see them phase out in 10 years. If it does phase out, that means the masses have adopted energy efficiency. And I mean, the ultimate goal of my job is kind of
Yeah,
complete in a way.
we've reached
I
our
mean,
goal.
that's kind of a weird thing to say is, I'm working to run myself out of a job in a way, but
Right.
if I'm able to influence the masses and everybody adopts energy efficiency and sustainability and they're making great decisions on the front end, I think that's huge. So I think it'll still be around in 10 years or so, but as much as I would like to see it not, I think that's where we're going. But I think great efforts have been made in the past 5 years alone. I mean,
Yeah.
we're seeing legislation come down the pipe that's encouraging, House Bill IRA,
Hmm.
solar, renewable energy sources are getting incentivized from the government, the federal level.
Hmm.
I think there's just more to come. It might be more than just utility incentives to really get the ball going.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. Do you have any statistics perhaps that the utility company keeps on the percentages of the commercial buildings that are out there in you, I guess, being utilized that are
mm,
functioning today that have these type of components in them? Like, are we looking at 80% of them still don't have efficient components in them, or is it 50%? Do you have any idea about that?
I mean, just based on conversations I have, like I can't say that I have a specific statistic as much as I would like to. Every conversation I have, with an end user or facility, they have something that's antiquated and out of date that they weren't aware. Either new technology evolved or emerged,
Right.
or they had no idea that an incentive was available because large systems and large facilities are really expensive to upgrade. And whether they know it or not, they're declining in efficiency. They're drawing more energy than they should have when they were new. It's just something that they're not sure of. But yeah, I mean, I would say it's up there, north
Hmm.
of 80% or more. I would think. I can't imagine that there's a ton of facilities out there that are running at peak efficiency every single
Hmm.
day.
Right.
So, and new technologies coming out every day as well. So, if it if you thought you were efficient a week ago, odds are something's come out or something was developed that you could be upgrading to.
Yeah. Do you have any ideas about like what the next newest, latest, greatest technology piece or pieces are that you're seeing that might change things for us?
Yeah, it's really hard to pinpoint. I know we've had some great conversations with different, I won't name drop anything, but HVAC additives, different solutions that they can run through these HVAC machines that just essentially allow them to run more freely,
Right.
not clog as badly or, simply not foul at all.
Hmm.
So there's really cool technologies out there that I've really come to learn about in the past year or so that I think are going to be really impactful going forward in the next, however long. Um, there's really cool stuff out there, but I think additives is going to be a big one
Yeah.
coming up just because HVAC in large facilities is probably the um, highest drawing
Right.
measure in the facility. So anything we
Absolutely.
can do on that
Yeah.
front, I think is going to be a massive development.
Yeah. I'm amazed. We work with a few restaurant chains, and I'm always amazed at in particularly like in these QSRs how much draw that HVAC has on those buildings. And obviously, during the daytime when you've got customers coming in and out of doors, there's not much you can do. You obviously don't want the employees setting the thermostat on 60 degrees during the summertime. And you don't want them setting it on 80 degrees during the wintertime so that we can control some of those things. But I
Mm-hmm.
am amazed at how little my client base really understands how much we can impact, even on those type of buildings, how much we can impact the HVAC
Mm-hmm.
just through settings and that type of thing. And we have a control system that we sell to the restaurants that specifically is geared toward basically eliminating thermostat and someone locally being able to set those things so that it's all set in advance.
Mm-hmm.
At nighttime, when the building shuts down, there's a setback and that type of thing, and it modulates itself to make sure that it brings it back to temperature before the employees get back there the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say that is one of the most difficult things that I typically sell to my clients. I have a hard time quantifying that and helping them to understand what that actually does and how much, what percentage of their utility bill is going toward that. Um, Obviously, we sell more lighting than anything else. I'd like to do a lot more in the control side of things, but that seems to be a real challenging one. And I think
Mm-hmm.
you're right on with the opportunities in the HVAC space are really, really incredible. Um,
Mm-hmm.
these days, you know, most of the remodels or retrofits, refreshes that might be going on, like in a retail or restaurant space, those now incorporate LED lighting. No one's putting
Mm-hmm.
in old fluorescent lighting, not much anymore. I occasionally do see it, though. I'll say that. Um,
Unfortunately.
but yeah, exactly. But the HVAC is one that just does not get addressed, I think, with the same level of thought. And I think it's just a matter of understanding what the impacts are there. So I agree with you there on the HVAC for sure.
I think it's just an education thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really hard to sell something to somebody if they don't know it or understand it.
Yeah.
That's the same for insurance or energy efficient measures. It's you kind of have to, educate them about it and say, hey, this is what it could look like in your space. This is what it's looked like in other spaces. This is
Hmm.
kind of how it works roughly. And if you
Yeah.
can put somebody on the same page or a little bit closer to your understanding, it really opens their eyes to the opportunities that are out there for their facilities and their end users.
Absolutely. So switching gears a little bit, what are your thoughts about what kind of advice would you give to people that younger professionals that are looking at starting a career in energy efficiency? Do you have any thoughts on how someone would get started, what they would do?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff you could do. And I was thinking about it earlier. I think one of the best things you can do is just start to educate yourself. I can't say that I switched from insurance to energy without learning anything. I did a lot of self learning on my own, a lot of independent research, figuring out what's out there, what technologies are emerging. Where can I step in and make an impact? And I think energy efficiency is a great place, for that to happen. like we said earlier, there's technologies emerging every day. Somebody has to learn about it to sell it. So we can be the catalyst for that if we continue to learn about it and talk to people that know more than us about it. Kind of getting in touch with suppliers, distributors, manufacturers. It's a people game. The more people you get to talk to, the more you get to learn, the more you get to spread awareness for a program. So I think, you're just interpersonal skills and then your ability to learn and just keep learning and don't stop ever.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't grow up with a background in engineering like you did. And my degrees in management and healthcare management, matter of fact. So I never in 1,000 years would have imagined that I'd end up here. But something along the way, as I started dabbling in the construction field, interested me to start looking at where the world was going, where construction was going, and energy efficiency was real interesting for me. And I won't bore you or the audience with my whole story, but at some point I said, hey, this is something that's growing, and if we're going to continue to grow our population, we're going to build new buildings, understanding what's going on with the power plants and their capacity, we've got to figure out a way to be more efficient with this and more sustainable. And I won't get into the political terminology that a lot of people, or the conversations that people have politically about all of that. To me, it just always made good business sense for people to try to save money. If I have a business,
right,
I am okay trading $1 to save 10, right? That's what we're talking about with energy efficiency here. It's not about whether you believe in sustainability or you believe in global warming or any of those other things. It really is a business decision. And so I looked at that as something that was going to evolve over time. And even though I didn't know one thing about energy efficiency or the things that I deal with today, I just educated myself, and I felt like I had enough experience dealing with people that once I learned about the equipment, the impacts, and the things that I needed to, I didn't need a lot of technical special skills or training. That would kind of come along the way as I talked to more people and learned about products and their impacts and that type of stuff as well. So I'm glad you made the point of that. I don't want people to think that you've got to have a background in engineering or even in construction to be able to get into this field, because I think that there are tons of opportunities for people that are good with people, that like to have conversations and are interested in energy efficiency and sustainability and that part of the construction world. There's plenty of opportunities out there for them. So that's awesome. Absolutely. Anything else you want to add? Do you anything that we didn't cover today that you want to talk about, whether it's about TRC or about the Dominion program or your position as an energy advisor?
Yeah, I mean, Scott, I think we've covered a lot here. I think we've given some great education to the folks that'll be viewing. So looking forward for newcomers to the industry and kind of getting to mentor them in the future. As for the programs, I mean, if you want to get in touch with us, I don't know if you want me to plug my contact or everything, but we can definitely get you the information, that you're looking for. The incentives are out there, for your industries, and more than happy to have a discussion, what projects you got going, facilities you have in your portfolio, and how exactly we can help.
Awesome. That's great. All right. Well, we'll make sure that we put somehow, again, we had some technical issues with getting your contact information on the screen, but we're going to work on getting that taken care of and make sure that we direct anyone. Obviously, you're in a little different position than I am. We're trying to attract customers to you through us. For you, It doesn't matter how they get to you. You just want to make sure that they get into your lap. So we'll make sure that we do that. We're going to figure out how we can come up with some new and innovative ways to get out in front of this and talk to people in advance so that they take advantage of this. The last thing I want to do is see people working through a construction plan or renovation or remodel, whatever it might be, incorporating some of these things and not getting their fair share of the money that's set aside for them, right? I tell my customers all the time, look, if you don't get the money, your competitor across the street is going to be getting your money, right? So take a few minutes. Let's get this taken care of, and let's make sure we get your money. So again, it's great to have you here, Travis, and I'll look forward to talking with you again in the future, and continuing our discussions.
Absolutely, Scott. It's been a pleasure. Looking forward to working with you guys in the future.
All right. Take care. Have a good day.
Cheers, Scott.